From your perspective, what do you think has led us to the situation that we're in today?
Well, cost of living crisis, we call it. Fundamentally, what we're talking about is inflation being high. So prices are going up rapidly. And the basic reason why prices are going up rapidly is because the Bank of England has had too loose a monetary policy. So interest rates have been too low and they printed too much money. Now, some of that's understandable because some of that comes off the back of the COVID crisis where the situation was very dire for the economy. But we borrowed a lot. GDP went down nearly 25% in 1 year. So the government borrowed an awful lot. It helped out with various sorts of spending, and the Bank of England loosened policy. So it was always likely that there was going to be some kind of events as a consequence of recovering from the COVID crisis. There were those who pointed out last year that the Bank of England had probably gone too far and that the economy that we were likely to get quite high inflation. And Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak back last year and through the back end of last year kind of rather ignored those warnings. And once, as inflation started going up, they sort of suggested it was really nothing to do with them, anybody's fault. It was, you might remember Boris Johnson talking about various kind of rapacious capitalists with supermarkets not passing on prices, or it was all Putin's fault with the energy prices going up. And it is absolutely true that that's one fact, that's an additional factor which has exacerbated things. There are other additional factors as well. So in China, they continue to have lockdowns as a consequence of COVID, and that disrupts various sorts of manufacturing supply chains and so on. So there are these factors, but fundamentally what you're talking about is that the Bank of England has allowed inflation to go rather too high. It's not the only central bank that's done that. Things happened in the US and in Europe as well. Different central banks took this approach. Once you understand, I think that unless you diagnose the problem correctly, understand that fundamentally what we're talking about here is interest rates having been too low and money having been printed too much, you're not going to get the right kind of solution.